We're just reading the email now. We've already brought the minutes up and they were accepted from our last meeting, so our
How is
meeting
everyone?
is officially started.
Not bad. When you read this, you will, analyze that it's different. And I'm only the messenger on this, I don't have any vested interest, so I called Peter when a friend of mine that used to work in the state, who has an oyster farming facility in Great Bay, called me and asked, did Newbury think there would be a chance for him to participate in their waters? And would it be a benefit for him in any way to help the town start into agriculture?
I don't know if he's saying that to do it for the town, I think he's saying it
Oh, no, it's for himself.
for himself.
But when I called Peter, we started discussing, I'm sure Peter's gonna chime in. Is it an endeavor that would have benefits for us, for him to have his business in our town? Would it be the seed for the beginning of something else? I mean, we could limit the business, or we could do anything we wanted if he came in. And what Peter will talk to the idea of what may be interested him, and the only thought we had, and Peter will elaborate, is maybe have him come and talk to everyone, meaning you guys, and the rest of the clammers should be here too. It's all your choice, it's not my choice, it's your choice. So, Peter, what were you thinking when I called?
I think to start off, in this meeting, we don't make any decisions.
No decisions.
And then we do ask this guy to come and talk to us, so we get more information. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and with that MSI, we don't know how that's gonna shake out. We don't know how much say the town is gonna have in aquaculture. That MSI meeting that we went to in Gloucester, all the representatives were there, and most of those guys were involved in aquaculture.
Is that the one you and I?
Yeah, and basically what they said was that they wanted to standardize, we talked to them about home rule and the fact that the towns should have control. And they said they wanted to standardize the requirements for aquaculture throughout the state, which to me means
Take them away from
we're
home.
we're out, we're out. So the only pro I see on this really for the town is this. If the state is gonna let him put oysters in our river and take them out and eat them raw, there's no way they're gonna be able to close our river to clams. And
No, but what starts happening is then they want a little piece,
well,
then they want a little
you're
more,
right, and here's,
and then they want it all,
What-
and then the next thing
what
is
I-
there's no harvesting.
what I've done is,
One thing they can't do, as I see it, is go into the refuge. Because, am I right or wrong? Peter?
well, for right now, but we don't last.
As of over the years, you're right,
Yeah.
I've,
unless they
The
change.
refuge could change that, yeah.
What I did-
Depends on who the
Yeah,
director is down there.
or
Well, no, that
federal
goes
law,
through
whatever.
bad management.
Yeah, I went online and looked at Ipswich's grants, their rules for grants in aquaculture. Now, they don't allow oysters and they only have it for steamers. And they've had a problem in the past, they were being sued. They released grants in, 2001 or 2004 to 2 people. People weren't doing the job, they took the grants away from them and they're being sued. So there is a liability.
By the people.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of problems.
So there is a liability to the town, there's not a lot of money. I think Ipswich charges $100 an acre for a grant, I think that Chatham charges like $30 an acre for a
Ipswich let
grant.
guys in the report come in?
Huh?
Ipswich let guys in the
I
report come
don't,
in?
is that what happened? I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Is that-
No, I don't know.
Wants to come in here
I
and-
put a call into, what's his name there, the fish warden, shellfish warden.
Scott?
Yeah, and he hasn't called me back, so I asked Paul to give him a call.
Peter, is that the term for someone doing something like that, a grant?
Well, that's what they have, is they sell grants, and they sell them for a period of
A
years.
little bit of land and it's under
They
grant.
did like 1 acre grants, I think, in Ipswich.
That's worth quite a bit.
And, Yeah, and I mean, the town's not making any money off the deal, but what they did in their rules, which was really good, is that no grant no piece of flat will be made into a grant if it's produced clams
Soft shell.
within a certain amount, like 5 years, or 10 years, whatever it is, 15 years. They have a thing where they will not grant active.
It's gotta be
Viable,
non-productive,
right.
non-productive areas.
I think one of the things that we have to do is mark areas off
I just said,
that could support
map those
aquaculture,
areas.
but they're not gonna infringe on the clams. And it doesn't make any difference if they're upriver or on the refuge. We'll mark off the flats, and if we get to the point where somebody wants to do aquaculture and the town's gonna let them, that's what they're gonna be limited to. And you can limit the amount of grant that each person would get. The time is limited, it has to be renewed after a certain time, this is how Ipswich does it, and it can't be sold. So that, I mean, I've tried to do a little research on that, maybe this guy can come in and tell us more about it. Like I said, if he opened up river, if he opened up by Oyster Point, that would mean that the river's clean all the way down. And if the state is gonna let him.
Well, what they might be able to let them do is go and purge them.
I know, that's what.
You know what I'm trying to say?
He'll start his oysters there, then pull them out and put them somewhere else to purge it.
Right down the plan.
You know, no, I don't even know if the plant.
Yeah, they do, that's what they do in Maine. They let Maine clams come in.
But he doesn't even have to do that. He can take
But
them.
not oysters.
No, but that doesn't mean that they might
No,
won't
but
let
he
them.
can take them to another source, another water, so he can take them to
Right.
Duxbury. He can put them in Duxbury for a week and sell them as Duxbury oysters. That's, what
Yeah.
you know, that's a scam that they play
Well,
on.
the other thing is, I mean, this guy is an honest guy, he's been around for a while. Ally Beck, you know, his wife.
No, I know they do. He's a pretty good guy.
He's, you know, he's got a big operation, he's the biggest guy
Yeah,
in.
he's on the Great Bay.
Great Bay. He could probably, maybe he could take his clams back to Great Bay and purge them, I don't know, but.
Yeah, but I'm
Can
not
we
sure we
take our
want to do
clams
that.
back there and do it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that would-
No, you know,
That doesn't work to our
Yeah.
benefit. I want, if the state's gonna say to him, you can take oysters out of here and eat them raw, that the water quality is that good, that's great, that works. You put them upriver, we'll have our own oysters.
Oh, no, I hear what you're saying, Pete.
Well, so that's how, I mean, I called Peter to talk to him about the idea. And then the first thing Peter said, well, it's gotta help the town, it's gotta help our guys, it's gotta be a benefit for us too. Or why would, you know, and that's what Peter started to brainstorm on. So,
And you, I don't know how that would
Who
work.
was this guy?
But instead of him,
Jay Baker.
us granting him land, we get a certain percent of his total catch.
Well, we could do like a rack
I
feed.
saw the fat
But,
oysters thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a rack feed like they do with the clams, but I got a feeling that this MSI stuff is gonna be, it's gonna change how business is done in aquaculture and
It
oyster farms.
might, but then again, you never know, it might not.
You may be regulated by the state. And the other question I have is upriver, the state land on both sides of the river, right?
No.
Isn't it? When you go upriver, you go underneath the railroad bridge. I know the right hand is all state land. The left hand is state land
When
on the
you go
marsh
to the
too.
railroad bridge, the right hand, oh,
I
yeah,
don't know about that.
no,
No,
it's probably
left hand is not.
trustees if it's anything or something.
No, the state's on the right.
Who owns the river?
How does the state own that land, Charlie?
Cause it's
Kent's
kind of,
Island.
yeah, it's out by
That's
both.
the back end of Kent's Island, yep.
They own Kent's Island.
Trying to think
owns-
of where it was.
Martha Page owns a lot of it.
Does the town own the river?
No, the government owns.
The state owns the river?
The government.
Can we lease state land?
The government owns all the waters.
Which government?
USA owns all of our waters in this area. Then they give them to the state, and the state gives them to the town. So the town runs.
I know that in oceanfront, I'm pretty sure that people own.
Ocean,
The oceanfront.
what it is, there's 5 coastal states, and it's called the, I'm gonna forget it now.
I know.
It's the rules and regulations of 1640, the right to hunt and fish,
Right.
and clam, and for the sake of commerce, there's 5 low water states. The homeowners that have a piece of property on Plum Island that's not BCR land, that's their own, from Annapolis way down, they own the low water, where most other states own the high water,
Right.
colonial ordinances. So, you know, we are one of the 5 New England coastal low water states, but that doesn't mean, we're talking more riparian in rivers.
Right, I had riparian rights when I lived on Central Street, and my land butted the Parker River up
Was,
there.
and I
That
can't
means
remember if riparian rights at the
That
middle
means-
of the water.
Yes,
So
I own it out into the river.
That's what I, but I don't know now, I can't say that's true.
That was on my
Just trying to
deed.
You know, flick it up, website.
But, so, I mean, this is something that we should look into, whether we go forward with aquaculture or not. We should identify areas, we should come up with rules, regulations, a system.
But I don't know many flats down there that don't have clams on them.
I like his,
What about when you're coming out of, by Doles, not by Doles, but by, the reef, when you come out and make that bend on the river, on that, tight to the left side?
on the left side,
Yeah, there's flat there, but there's no nobody clams that flat.
you talk about that,
Go past the reef,
that's the reef?
when you make that corner around the banking and you're heading up into the Plum Island River, right? On the left-hand side,
That's the Cape.
That's the Cape, there's clams there. there's
on the
rays.
left-hand side,
Yeah.
yeah, I've dug that.
Well, where's he? He's talking about a piece like below Fred Thurlow.
I'm having a hard time believing that that is not refuge land,
Where's
I know.
that?
where he's talking about.
Like right across below Fred Thurlow?
Yeah,
The
because
line-
that's
the line's below it,
Area A and Area B,
but it goes, I think it goes like this.
okay. And then
Um,
upriver,
The
before you,
refuge property starts right about where the Reliance lives.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, maybe if you get them
Reliance.
upriver, upriver, they'll open it up for us like Pete said.
I mean, upriver, you have above the railroad bridge, there's a flat on the left. It's not a big flat, but it's a flat. And actually,
That's productive.
no, there's no clams on that, above the, cause Paul went up there and looked.
Above the railroad bridge on the left,
Yeah,
we used to do it there all the time.
I don't know, Paul was up there, cause we were trying to do a water test to open up, Hackers. And he said, no, there's nothing on that flat. And there's another flat down from there on the left-hand side, below the railroad bridge at real low tide, where that little shack is.
I'll
on
tell
the
you,
banking.
if you can get good enough water to, raw oyster standards up there
Yeah.
with Mill River, then that's cool. And, you know, that'd be
I
awesome.
mean, we've been doing the water tests up there, we've been having them do water tests up there. She's been water testing before she went up the Mill
Is
River,
it good in the winter and still good in the summer?
and she went, it depends.
Yeah.
I think it's clean enough, I think it's comparable to every place else that these guys dig. And now they're changing the ballgame, that they're not gonna be testing the water, now they have to test the clams. You didn't hear that? When you were talking
Yeah, because you know what
to that woman behind us at the MSI,
Yeah,
I was talking to Jeff Kennedy, he came over to me and that's what he said to me, he said,
when are they gonna start that?
yeah, I think they may have. The state, according to the federal government, the state of Massachusetts is no longer in compliance on its rain closure because they've been testing the water to see how quickly the water clears out, but nobody's tested the clams to see what their numbers
So
do.
that's gonna be longer.
Well, maybe not.
Okay, maybe.
You know, we don't know until we see it.
What that is the counts are always down lower in the meats than they are in the water.
I would think so, right?
It is lower, cool.
But I watched this show on some agriculture stuff that had to do with seaweed and some other things, the oysters and cherry stones.
Yeah, because Maine has some
And,
seaweed,
More floats, but what happens is the toxins that they give off is really good for like the sediment that soft shell clams grow in. And they actually grew faster and whatnot. It was kinda interesting.
Well, we have a bazillion oysters in the river, I swear to God. You can't at low tide get to Andrew Haley's dock if you come off the ramp. It's just loaded with oysters up there.
I've heard you can walk on, they're not
No, I-
European oysters,
No, they're-
regular.
Yeah, they're
Right,
regular
they're
oysters.
Old-fashioned,
American.
ugly
Yeah.
oysters, right? Good.
And, I mean, we got, so as far as the oysters changing the water quality by an oyster farm, it'd be minimal.
Now, where is the line from when we can harvest them in the months?
October.
Yeah, but where's the line from?
Well, the only place you can do it is clean water, so, and there's no commercial harvest
I mean,
for Old Cottage Road.
right,
That's the only spot I know that's
that's
legal,
what it was.
and I'm not gonna tell you where that is on camera.
Imagine I could find it.
Oh, I know you could, but we don't want everybody else to. But it's, so I mean, I think it's something we should look into, and I think, Charlie, especially you're out there, if you can see flats that aren't productive in Thames, that we could mark on them. I know you don't wanna give any flats up.
Especially me.
Yeah, especially you, because you're out there, and you know the flats. So, if you can find them, and mark them, so that we have some idea where.
I wonder, those clams, I mean, those oysters, I wonder how good they are.
Oh, I bet you they're really
You're
good.
very good.
Well, you know, the reason why I'm thinking too, is saltwater is heavy to freshwater, right? So you're gonna be getting more good saltwater and probably more of the freshwater up top. So those oysters are pretty deep. They're probably pretty good,
We mean at high tide, they're pretty deep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. they're
Right,
probably-
I know what you're
They're
saying.
probably pretty, and most of the tide cycle, they're under some decent water that
Yeah.
may be salt water, because on an outgoing tide, the fresh water's up higher.
Well, we'll never know, because the state will never open that up so that we can take those oysters.
Maybe, well, I can't say it on TV, maybe we ought to grab a couple of those and really see how they test.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm glad you didn't say it on TV.
I know.
Yeah, maybe if they start testing the meat, so they'll be able to open that area
That's
up.
what I'm
Try
saying.
that.
Why isn't that a
Try that.
canary in
Take some
the,
of them oysters and.
Trying to get me, I can see it, the new
well,
report.
Charlie,
dated
why
news
isn't
now.
that a canary in the mine shaft? If those are good, then that says that's pretty good water.
And maybe this guy, he knows that they're changing the meat qualities, and maybe
I think,
he's thinking they're gonna change it anyways, so he kinda wanted to get in.
I think
Well,
he,
Jay Baker worked for the state, and he's a very smart guy.
Right.
He left the state to be outdoors. So one thing we would have the benefit of, he would be vested in the town, to help
Right.
the town, because he's gonna be here, and he's, you know, kind of a scientist, kind of a smart type guy. In that way, he's above my
Give him some
pay grade.
flats up, give him some flats up there.
I mean, there's a bunch of hurdles. A, we have no commercial harvest of oysters in the town.
We could have though, if they open that up.
We have, I know, look, it's 5 years we've been working on Hackett's, and the water tests are good. And they said it was usually a 3-year deal, and they won't even open them up, you know, conditionally.
Well, DMF's not gonna be that happy with this, with the proposed oyster.
That's what I mean, I cannot see them letting him take oysters out of our river
No.
and eat them raw. I just, you know, if this happens,
Well, if they pass that meat thing, they might reclassify.
you know, we can hope.
I mean, there's no guarantees, we're not extending anything but the ability for Jay to come and talk to the town.
I think that's a good idea.
And we ought to
Because
get
we
some
could
guys,
use
we ought to
some-
get some guys here, the claimants, you know, ought to get a good group here so they can ask them a lot of questions.
I'm actually, good friends with Charlie knows him too, Choppy, and he told me like a year or so ago that they're gonna reclassify out front, and they're gonna do some different changes.
Up front's clean.
No, but I'm talking for like hard shell, like the sea
Yeah.
clams and different stuff.
Yeah, there just isn't much.
Right, but they're
On
gonna
that beach.
open up some different areas, like over in Salisbury and different things for that.
Really?
Well, they're all on storage. Plum Island's on storage. So that,
The water that comes down that, well, I don't know, I just, what?
Merrimack?
I can't understand how they can dump what they dump in the.
Didn't they just sue somebody or something?
I don't, I mean, everyone's working on it, and I think there's 11 towns, maybe 12, that still dump raw sewage on a weekly basis
And there's buildings
in our.
in what, Lawrence or Lowell that are pumping directly into the river anyway, sewage, that was in the paper.
Well, did you read the millions of gallons that went
Oh.
out?
Yeah,
I mean,
still cleaner than it ever used to be, but
and they give,
I don't know if I
and
really
they, and they
need
give
to
a
plan that.
boat a rough time. I mean, boat shouldn't do it either, but it's
Yeah.
like, God.
Well, in the Merrimack, yeah, there's a lot more hurdles to jump, but even, you know, in our river, boats are probably the biggest source of direct pollution
And it is.
right now.
It is.
And,
And the geese.
yeah, and when you look over that bridge and you look upriver, and you look at the floating docks and the boats that are stuffed into that area,
Hmm.
I don't know, we'll see. Again,
But one of the good things is, not that we don't have them, but we're not a deep water mooring with a lot of big boats,
yeah, that helps.
so.
But, you know, what Kennedy said is, we're fighting to keep the flats open, and you want us to fight to open new flats. And, you know, he's,
Well, DMF is not our enemy anymore. If they ever were, they're certainly not since Peter's worked, and I've tried to help too, but with Jeff Kennedy and other people at Marine Fisheries, they're certainly, they'll talk to us now, and that's good.
yeah, it's just that they're still not a partner with us. They're not looking to
Can I
improve
say
what
this?
we have.
Can I say this to you? We've got Plum Island that has erosional issues that could cost us houses. Do you think federal and state regulators are our friends when we're gonna lose a house in the river, in the ocean? So it's just, we should be happy that we have a good relationship, you know.
Well, we're happy, we're just not that happy.
I look at what Plum Island went through before they could stabilize the private part of the beach. Was it 7 houses or 9?
So probably, maybe get in touch with him, find out when it's convenient for him, week-wise, and we'll,
I'll put them in touch with you too, because you control these guys.
and we'll make, I don't control them.
Well, you control the meeting
Beat the
time.
shit out of me.
You control the meeting time.
Yeah, we can
So-
set up a meeting,
Yeah.
and he's able to come, we'll get the word out in time. Most of those guys aren't on they don't get the message from the computer when we put the thing on.
Be nice to have some guys here, some of the.
I thought some might show up, because a couple of guys do get the notice on the meetings
I mean,
automatically.
if if we should decide that, no, this is something with MSA coming that we wanna maybe do ourselves, and there's the ability for someone within our town to step forward and maybe push the envelope for agriculture and oysters, that'd be wonderful too.
Yeah, like I said, it's worth it to go online and look at Ipswich, their rules on aquaculture. And, because the way they did it is you have to have either had a commercial clam license or worked in the aquaculture industry for a certain amount of years. And then they had,
You have to be a resident of the town.
I think they do, but their grants are only steamers, clams. They don't have, and that's why I called Scott to say, why don't you allow oysters? Now, I'm wondering if it's because the state won't let them.
Well, I'm sure this won't be a walk in the park if this is something that we decide to do to get permitted.
Well, that's why I say if we identify spots, even if they're in the refuge, then it's the problem of whoever wants the grant, to get the state to go along with them, to get the federal government to go along with them. All we'll do is identify areas that won't affect wild harvest of clams. Because, I went to the meeting, I listened, I read all the bullshit about aquaculture, sustainable, blah, blah, blah. Wild harvest has been around for centuries. There's nothing more sustainable. Aquaculture provides a few people with a lot of money. Wild harvest can provide a living to a lot of people, and at times it can be a good living. And It's just head and shoulders above aquaculture as far as I'm
I
concerned.
think so too.
You
I
do?
agree.
And,
I mean,
Just-
it's funny,
that's just the way it
I'll
is.
eat a fried oyster. I don't eat raw oysters.
oh, I do. But that's not to say there isn't a
You like
place
them? You eat
for
raw oysters,
aquaculture or
Charlie?
for
I
oyster
love
farming.
them, but I
There
don't
is.
really like them, there's
It's
no
not
flavor
good.
to
Yeah.
them.
I
You're eating
I
If
the
would
you
red
go in the
stuff.
store yourself, you
You
see
make the red stuff, you
farm-raised
put on,
salmon,
that's like
Yeah.
tastes
wild
sick
caught,
to me.
which one you
Yeah.
grab?
I know once.
Not only that,
I
it's
guess
just,
I did that down in Key West.
Oh, I
There's a
get
place
so sick,
for
so
it,
that's
so
it.
you got a couple of guys,
Cannot
a couple of
go
guys
for
that really like them, and they just
clams.
kept buying trays
Wild
and buying
clams.
trays, I'll tell you.
cannot have it
The
in a
next day
place
we flew
where
back
you would
from
take
Key
away a
West.
flat from.
Well, I was a
wild
mess.
hogs.
They
No,
take it right through you,
I
you
won't
must.
eat anything raw, fish or anything after, I get so sick.
I know it's a good thing because, well, I think it's a good thing they changed to the meats because they get a more accurate count, it's quicker, and usually the counts are gonna be down. And it'll just, I think it will open up a lot more areas.
Well,
See, and that's good to hear from you, because I wouldn't, maybe have thought that, I wouldn't know what to think. And I'm good to hear that it could be a benefit.
Or it could be a bad thing too, because they might have built up,
my guess is at different times of the year, they're gonna absorb more out of the water and expel it either quicker or slower.
right,
So we'll see. I'm gonna call Devin and ask her if they've
I, you know
started
what, I
that.
give you a little secret, I don't mean to be a know-it-all, but, because this is really your ability with your industry, what you guys are good at. It sounds like if DMF is pushing towards that, it's more accurate, and it's probably, when they push towards more accurate, it's gonna usually be more accurate to the negative, because they usually be
Well,
trying.
DMF is not pushing this, the federal government is.
Okay,
The state of Massachusetts is not in compliance with federal regulations.
so this is done in other states.
Yeah, this is gonna be what they do.
Cool.
And this is how they're gonna figure out rain closures, by how fast the clams go from a high count to an acceptable count.
Does a, English is a good language, does a clam purge quicker in warm water or cold water?
They purge when their belly's full.
So even cold water, it doesn't matter, you know, they're not slow or
They
something.
purge when their
cold.
belly's full.
So-
They suck in water and filter out the size particles that they like to eat.
Yeah,
And when they get just so many in there, they're not gonna eat, they spit them out, and they start over again.
okay.
Hard shell clams are on cycle, it's every 24 hours they purge, or 48, like, I can't remember.
Well, with the red
Hard
tide,
shell clams though have a, you can set your clock
Is
by
that
the
why
way they
hard
purge.
shell get red tide quicker?
I don't know,
they're gonna keep them closed in Ipswich until, they said the spring,
what, sea clams?
because of
They
the.
still closed them?
Yeah, as far as I know, you better believe it, they'll get.
What?
No, I've been laid up.
Because of the red
what,
tide?
what might happen more,
Yeah, red tide, they said they would,
Ever since they threw my heart back in my chest, it's been kinda slow.
that's good to hear, Charles. That
so
doctor
maybe,
touched your
maybe
eye.
they wanna do some more harvesting or open up more area in the Merrimack too, to put more clams in the plant.
I haven't heard.
They
But
won't.
what they've been doing though, is like I told you, is they've been bringing other clams
Sea
from
clams are closing.
Maine or whatever and purging them down there.
They were
to
closed
run
for a
those
while.
tanks.
I haven't been asked.
Scott is
I mean,
a
I
doctor.
don't think, I don't have, I don't think that's bad.
No, I don't
I
think
want
that's
that
it.
place to stay open.
Right, I totally agree with
They
that.
didn't take them from anywhere,
Well-
just stay open, you
No,
know?
Just,
Yeah.
they, I don't know, they close it Wednesdays. the
No,
plant.
though, what I'm,
No,
sorry,
so now they're not running it 5 days a week anymore.
that's the bad thing.
They had a guy that was gonna move on in the system, they knew about it for months, he's moved on. And you couldn't run a business that way. So, you know, we've been trying hard to get more clams into the plant. And then we've got a lot of resistance, you know,
Well,
but
you gotta remember, the plant also has one well now.
they're taking stuff down from Maine, they have no problem with that.
Well, are they gonna dig another one?
I don't know.
I mean, if the erosion keeps continuing down there, that's,
I don't know, but that's the other thing I guess I have to talk to Jeff Kennedy about is, we find out about it through rumor, word of mouth. The town is not contacted. Bob wasn't contacted. He heard about it from somebody
are
else.
we still clamming much in the Merrimack?
Not much, but there's still clamming going on in the Merrimack.
Then, you know,
We're the only ones doing it.
one thing that always works well in a nice way, I mean, have a few of us, I don't mind signing anything, you know, send Jeff Kennedy a card saying, we'd like to make sure.
Be
that we go
informed
back
when
to
there's
5
changes
go
made.
back- Well, go back to 5 days, if, you know, if you can.
Yeah,
So, I mean, one thing is, state agencies, and Jeff's not gonna get mad at this, state agencies respond to pressure. You know, so, that's the way to do any of this stuff.
well,
And sometimes, a lot of guys don't bother, but the best way to get anything done with DEP, any of the gun lobbies, even the governor, is get people to send texts, send emails and letters.
well,
Get
the
the wheels squeaking.
I've brought this up to Kennedy so many times. The airport remains open till a half inch of rain. The Charles River, the airport, Mystic River, whatever that's flowing in.
Where do those planes go?
They go to the
Plant.
plant.
Good.
They stay open up to a half inch. The Merrimack closes at a quarter of an inch. Now, Bub was willing,
So that means that Boston's cleaner than the Merrimack River?
oh, according to Jeff Kennedy, until they get a half inch and then it's dirtier. Bub was.
That's a bad river over there.
Bub was willing to bring clams to the plant up to a half inch of rain, and if they didn't clear, it was his loss. Kennedy wouldn't let him. When we went to that MSI meeting, the other meeting, the meeting about red tide, Bruce Tower was there. I brought that up to Bruce Tower, he's like, we wanna keep the plant open. I said, you wanna keep the plant open? I've got a great idea. We'll bring clams in there up to a half inch of rain. If they don't clean, they don't clean. Well, have you talking to DMF about that? I said, yeah. He said, what'd they say? I said, no. He said, why did they say that? I said, you're the senator, you tell me.
Bruce is busy, but I can tell you this. Brad Hill and Bruce Starr are the biggest coastal advocates that you guys could ever have.
Oh, yeah, no doubt,
Ever have.
no doubt about
And
it.
they're responsive. Bruce would come to a meeting, as busy as he is. If you had a joint meeting, if you had something to discuss with Ipswich and Newbury to get everyone together, Bruce and Brad
Well,
would both be.
He was at
He's
that,
been helping out for years.
He
He's
was
just a good.
at that Newbury Veterans Luncheon that we had in Byfield.
Yeah.
There could have been 25 people there. He was there, gave a great speech. It was awesome.
Which he always does. So,
Anyway, if you can get that fella in touch with me,
yeah.
our next meeting, we'll try and get him here, we'll try and get Charlie here.